introductions and kind words. The glyph has always been of great importance to me from earliest childhood visits to the museum in Kansas City when I was 9 or 10, and seeing the Egyptian tombs and glyphs and hieroglyphs. And later, as a student at New York University, I went to the 10th Street bookstore, where they had a remarkable collection of Egyptian texts and hieroglyphs. And I bought some, and then later in 1961 I took a course in hieroglyphics at the New School. So I became, and those Zen rock gardens too, from Kyoto, seem to be living, speaking storylines. And so I have been sudsed through and viewed, rinsed over by the concept of glyphs. And I sometimes get asked what it is, but a glyph is a drawing that is charged with literary, emotional, historical, or mythic and poetic meaning. But what it is, to me, it's like what Matisse was trying to cut. You know, he was an old man who was dying and couldn't paint anymore. He would lie in bed and draw in chalk on the ceiling. Then he came up with this concept of using these big, long-bladed scissors to cut these beautiful shapes. He said they were signs. To me, they were like Platonic forms. And you can go to the museums of the world and get thrilled by these wall-sized glyphs. So So I was in 2008 was a remarkable year. It was, I used to sing this song, Send George Bush to Jail, in all my readings. But now it looked like we were going to get rid of George Bush. It also looked in the fall of 2008 as if we might get a decent president to help shape our great nation. So my wife and daughter and I were in Florence. I was giving poetry readings, and we stayed at this nice hotel in downtown Florence. We took walks across the Arno to the left wing part of Florence. Anyway, it was a remarkable time, and there was a little store that made handmade paper, notebooks and stuff. And I bought a little notebook in September of 2008, then went down to the communist or the People's Cafeteria or restaurant, Casa de Papel. And I was so excited about the possible triumph of Obama, and I was having a good time. I was with my wife and daughter, and in a beautiful downtown hotel. So I bought a small notebook, and then went down to the Casa de Papel, and I also had bought a set of pencils, colored pencils, and I just began doodling glyphs into this nice handmade notebook. And so I called at the end and so I worked on it regularly. And I didn't have any hope or expectation of anything. I just was feeling good for the first time in I was feeling really good. I was walking around to see great art with my wife and daughter, and crossing over the bridge where Dante had his love vision. It was just a remarkable time. And so I called this the Smile Book of Grace Joy. Begun in the Casa de Popolo in Florence, 9/28/08. And then I must thank Steve Clay, who came to my house. I have, what is that kind of, I'm like an archive hoarder. I mean, they could bring that show in my house and barns and it's so good. Except I have it all listed on the computer, so, the hoarder people can't get me. So anyway, he came out and I had a few boxes of my drawings, my glyphs, and Steve took a look at a bunch of them. And then he came across this, I just stuck it in a manila envelope that had been there for 4 years, and no one had ever seen it except me and Miriam. And he picked it up, and one thing led to another, and he agreed to publish it. Double edition, one an expensive edition. I could never myself afford to buy my own book. I got a couple of free copies. And then a nice, less costly edition. So anyway, I'll go through. Then I also he asked me to do notes for each glyph. And so I did for most of them. And so I will go through the publication now. The Book of Glyphs. And that's my take on life. Flowers, green leaves, and peace. Gnarl moth. This is from the great Allen Ginsberg's book. It's from the poem Magic Song. Unspeakable king of the roads that are gone, unintelligible horse riding out of the graveyard, sunset spread over Cordillera, an insect, gnarl moth. And that, like Olson's Polis's eyes. It's like I was going to do my most recent collected poems. I was going to call it Gnarl Moth, but I don't think the guys at Coffee House Press really. The Coffee House makes you write out 100 different titles before they decide on one. Anyway, so Gnarl Moth. All right. So this has a motif called goof snail. I have whole storylines of goof snail. Goof snail rests above the Egyptian word for water, which is 3 squiggly blue lines, and then these boats. And I call it the galactic snail. And the boats of Lawrence. That's, of course, the boats of death that Lawrence invokes us to create. Have you built your ship of death? Oh, have you? Oh, build your ship of death, for you will need it. The consolation of the curves. Well, the shapes of grace are as good as the consolation of philosophy. The O factor. Well, this is, of course, the factor of Charles Olson, my mentor. So much expectation for the letter O as it comes upon us. And then I have different glyphic representations of O. Above the ever-flowing Egyptian word for water at the bottom. Fasten your seatbelts. Well, fasten your seatbelts, that's sort of what Christianity's, the Bible's all about, right? Well, so, and it has again the waters of eternity, and then D.H. Lawrence's boats of death. A bell suitable for the electromagnetic eon. That is a temple bell with like diodes and capacitors and circuits fitting. I mean, you go into these Zen monasteries and see these beautiful old bells. Hey, it's the 21st century. We need the temple bell that moves and squirters. A rainbow shower from the watery mouth engulfs the human. That is the rinse of everything from nonsense to full sense washes over the human. Uh-oh. The scholar activist. This is really out of sequence. The scholar activist, that's something I've always tried to cling to. That is, it's not enough to study something. Let's say you notice your creek is getting polluted. You have to go to the water authorities, you have to have tests, you have to struggle to protect. Some are happy in a quiet room. But a scholar activist is always pushing. A time of hope. Well, that was what the fall of 2008 was to me. It seemed like, dum spiro sparrow is the Latin phrase. Dum spiro, while I breathe, sparrow, I hope. And then this fall season of 2008 seemed just like that. All right, this is another scholar activist moment. I wrote let's see, it's projected on the side. Some are happy in a quiet room, weaving maps with Clio's loom. Some are satisfied with graph and list, but not the scholar activist. The rose haunts all the time. I was referring to a poem about Eric Satie, and especially his fifth Nocien, which I sometimes perform and read to, because Satie was a figure of the Rose of Sharon. It forms into layers, whatever you do. Well, life is kind of like a baklava. You get gushed and you get plated in, and time out. I always think, like, there's New Yorker cartoons, where there's always the Grim Reaper, and so the Grim Reaper comes in, and you do, for 20-second timeout for basketball, you do the Grim Reaper, no good. Then you're faced with the pylons of infinity, and you say, time out. Memories of De Vere. Well, he was a high school friend of mine. He was De Vere Limbacher. And when I was in high school, he said, You'll go to college and I'll always be a laborer, 1956. And then at the bottom, roll, 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 because he was true. De Beer Limbach, just about the time I was operating the B-side bookstore in the 60s, he was a highway worker, and he was mowing a steep embankment, and his tractor rolled over and crunched him and killed him. Ordered beer. So this was a good friend of John's you've seen. Atop the spiral, it cleans. The Egyptian sign at the top is the feather of justice, an ostrich feather. And I use the feather of justice constantly. Say in my history of the United States, America history verse, I summoned Mott, the Mott feather, as a rallying cry. And then it cleans, it always is there in the circle of chaos, in the circle of karma, in the circle of daring do. The feather of justice helps keep humans human. Okay, so this, this is all I see. So I have to find this one. Look, Danae was locked into a tower by her father, and then Zeus, having trouble getting in, turns himself into pieces of gold, and he mates with the beautiful young Danae as a shower of gold. And my point is, how could Danae say anything at all while Zeus is blasting her with pieces of shekels? Knowing that the door is open is half. Because that's half of solving something, is realizing people beat their head against the side trying to get in when the door is open. Hi. After the turmoil, hi will arrive. And that's true. After, when Odysseus was leaving Troy and going home to Ithaca, his boats, Poseidon really tried to kill all the Greek boats, and these guys would wash up on the shore, and they would, someone would be dead, if you would be alive, and then they'd wake up, and the universe said, hi. Boats. Those are the Laurentian boats of death that spiral down like an endless underground parking lot. There's no reason the glyph or water can't be multi-hued. Especially when water is so polluted. And it has many colors. And we have to wipe out those colors that are noxious to human condition. Border wars. The dream seeps through the rust. Collected poems. Planck unit. I've been concerned lately, especially in 2008, about the Planck unit, which is this infinitely small microdot which the whole universe sucks down into and is there, and then expands out at the explosion that creates the next version of the universe. So I've been thinking, because of Planck units, that means that flying saucers can be very small. The eyebrows of your mentors are always there, helping you with the luggage. Because who knows what Charles Olson or other Gary Snyder does for on through life. So might as well do your eyebrows. They do help it. Mude. That's something I borrowed from Samuel Beckett's poem. You know, mude now, pot walloping now among the promenaders. Samuel Beckett in Samuel's 1. Because sometimes you're walking along in life very tired. Artistic sleuthery is more. You see, digging and uncovering, then adding art and skill to the sleuth torrent. That's what artistic sleuthery is. The wiggling and trembling penetralium of mystery. Of course, that's from Keats's negative capability play, his brother Tom, the penetralium of mystery. And that, once I read that phrase, penetralium of mystery, that's everything in life, every little nodule that you can't quite get yet. Somewhere in the Fresh Kills landfill is the tambourine I smashed in 1965. Please go get it, oh future. Oh, that's pretty good. I used to stupidly. I have one Fug's tambourine that escaped my temptation to break it hearing this song we did called Nothing. It all groveled at the end and tore things up. And, I miss my tambourines. What is it? That's a thumb, like a planet with a strange thumb. Hitchhiking planet? Still enmeshed by the myths traced by Aeschylus. Myths of revenge, war mania, jealousy, border bashing, plus hierarchies of curses from traced by Aeschylus, handed down generation upon generation. Tantalus, Pelops, Niobe, Atreus, Thyestes, Agamemnon, Menelaus, Clytemnestra, Helen, Iphigenia, Orestes, Electra, traced by Aeschylus in plays such as Agamemnon. Oh, grace. And I think that's traced by, I once collected about 150 different new verses for Amazing Grace from American writers. And this is out of the red lines of life, miraculously, now and then comes grace. Thank you, grace. Creating brain hands to fulfill. That means like minds reaching out to other minds to fulfill, to create a beautiful answer, a beautiful solution to a problem that we're gathering. Polis, his eyes. Polis, his eyes, of course, is from letter 6 in the Maxims poems. I translated it into Egyptian. You, it, hear it, we, is Paulus' eyes. O-O-O-O-C. Glyph for the muse of sudden clarification. Sud-clar. Well, there are a bunch of new muses, among them Retentia, muse of the retained image. Condensare, muse of condensation and pithiness, and Sud-clar, muse of sudden clarification, plus others. I got this idea reading a biography of Mozart, how when he came to